It's a never-ending discussion. Are the Formula 1 games from Codemasters and nowadays EA are driving sim? Or are they casual games? Or something completely different in between?
Hi, my name is Champion Joe. I'm the guy who's doing most of the videos on this YouTube channel, and today we're going to talk about F1 and whether if there are arguments to make in favor of F1 being a full-fledged racing sim. This is of course an opinion, so take it with a grain of salt and let's keep it civil in the comments. Though I'm really curious to see what you guys are going to say regarding this topic.
What makes a driving game a sim? That's the big question we have to discuss today in order to classify the F1 games into one category or the other. The first thing that pops to mind is of course the driving physics and the corresponding force feedback. The FFB has seen immense improvement compared to the last couple of years, with snap oversteer being possible to catch and the development of better overall understeer effects. The force feedback might not be what you expect at first when you are used to a richer handling system from other games, but it rapidly grows on you, giving you enough information to allow you to understand what the car wants from you. But if you have played other driving sims, you know that F1 can't compete with other simulation giants like Assetto Corsa, R-Factor or iRacing when it comes to the level of detail that the physics engine communicates via FFB. So is that alone enough to exclude F1 from the sim racing genre? I don't think so. Compare it to arcade games like Need for Speed, Forza Horizon or even Mario Kart. In those titles, driving aggressively and not shying away from contact with other drivers is a core part of the gameplay. If you adopt that driving style, one-to-one in F1, you won't see the finish line. Yes, the level of detail the force feedback grants is minimal compared to other sims, but the way you drive the car resembles real-life driving a lot more than typical arcade gameplay.
So, which is most important for determining whether F1 can be called a driving sim? Is it the way the cars are driven, or how close the driving comes to the real thing? Let me know what you guys say in the comments. Okay, the FFB could use a little bit more detail, even though the driving comes relatively close to the real thing. But what about simulating the sport? Isn't that also something a sim should score points in?
Because if the F1 games do one thing exceptionally well, it's simulating the F1 circus. They have all the real-life drivers and known faces of the sport, use different car models, have spot-on liveries of all the teams, and also drive on the real tracks all around the world. The presentation is just like you know it from TV. Even Crofty is part of it. That combined with the game following the actual rules of the sport makes F1 as realistic as it gets. Which other game does simulate a safety car mid-race? How many have plausible DRS zones that actually work with the 1 second rule, or enforce the park firm that hinders you in changing the setup after qualifying? I can't think of one. And there are so many of those little details that make the F1 games come so close to the real deal. Fuel consumption and tire changes.
Ask Project Cars 3 if that is important.
Penalties for swapping engine parts. Illegal overtakes where the game asks you to give the position back. A team radio with your personal race engineer and Jeff.
Okay, here we go.
And so many more that are truly worthy of the term simulation.
But is that the definition of a simulation type racing game, being as close to the motorsport as possible? Because if that is the case, F1 isn't exactly perfect either.
Yes, graphically the F1 games do make a splash with highly detailed track objects, awesome cutscenes and also well done sound design. The tracks are overall super immersive and filled with so much life that it beams you right into an actual race weekend. But on the other hand, the tracks aren't as lifelike as you might think. None of them are laser scanned, a practice which is typical for simulation type games like iRacing, ACC and co, where the developers scan the whole track to achieve a true to life copy of it. And that this is missing is noticeable, especially for sim racing veterans that have thousands of hours on one particular circuit.
I myself dislike the version of Spa in the F1 games, as it does not come close enough to what I'm used to in Assetto Corsa and Competizione. Yes, there are similarities and there's nothing wrong with the track in F1, but if you have driven so many kilometers on one specific track like Spa in this case, you just notice all the little details that are missing and get so easily offset in your rhythm. But is that enough to disqualify it as a racing sim?
As you might have already noticed, I'm not the one who can answer these questions for you. It's a matter of perspective if you see the F1 games as a sim for their unparalleled determination in recreating the sport, or if you would rather disqualify them for not having the most realistic handling model.
If there ever has been a game that is more split between two categories, let me know, but I think simcade is probably the best term for it. But here's another question for you. Is it really necessary to put it in one or the other box? Can't we just enjoy things without putting a label on it? I don't know if we can. Maybe that's just the nature of the beast. What's your opinion about the topic? Let me know down below. And if you need more sim racing action, go visit overtake.gg, watch some more YouTube videos or follow us on Twitter. On the top right, you can find our F1 2021 review, and underneath there's our latest upload. But that's it from me today. Thanks so much for tuning in and see you next time around. Cheers!